In today's demo, we will explore the MarkLogic Kafka connector and highlight just how easy it is to get data from a Kafka topic to MarkLogic and vice versa. In my MarkLogic instance, you can see in the bottom Results tab that my documents database is currently empty. I have set up a TDEs that's going to match the data we're going to ingest. An optic query, when engaged, won't return any rows as our data has yet to be populated. A DataGen connector has already been configured to simulate a data source writing data to a Kafka topic. This DataGen connector will write data to the topic, which the MarkLogic Kafka sync connector will read from. Let's go ahead and add a new connector. We will start by creating a sync connector to read records from a purchases topic. This is the topic that shows what records were sent to the DataGen connector. Configure your connector as you see fit. In this instance, records are being read from the purchases topic. The MarkLogic connection settings have been configured. A variety of authentication strategies are supported. For this demo, I've selected the digest authentication. The connector is configured to store records as JSON documents, although several format types are available. Permissions and collections can be assigned within this configuration, as well as providing additional URI information. The MarkLogic connector will create a UID as the URI for each document. In this instance, we specified both a URI prefix and suffix to better describe these URIs that have a record feature. There are a handful of other options available that aren't included in this demo. For error handling, the sync connector now supports the dead letter Q. There are also integration configurations available with MarkLogic's Data Hub framework, where we could run an ingestion step on this data if so desired. Once configured, let us launch the connector. Let's now return to our MarkLogic server query console. Select the Explore tab found in the top left side of the menu bar. We can now view each document that was written based on the configuration given. Data is now streaming into MarkLogic. To ensure our data is coming back, let us run our optic query. Consider the data connector. These may be purchase records coming from an Oracle database, S3 or elsewhere into MarkLogic for curation. Afterwards, we will send them to a different topic for consumers to read from. Let us add a new connector to read rows from MarkLogic and send them to a new topic. This time, I will select the MarkLogic source connector. From here, we see our working TDE view, and the results have been returned as expected. The MarkLogic Kafka connector has successfully written records to the database specified in the connector configuration. Let's take the rows returned in MarkLogic via the optic query and read them into a different topic within Kafka. The different topic is key here. As you can see, I've named the connector and set up the basic connection configuration. The key to getting data out is we need to provide an optic query using the DSL format. The benefit to this is it is intended to be fairly easy to write. Using the query console, you can start with a simple query, test it out and really make it as complex as needed until you get exactly what you want. We can then copy and paste the query directly into this configuration. For this example, we will use the optic query shown previously and is called op_from_view. We've selected to return our data as JSON, but you can also get data out as XML or CSV. I also specified the ID column returned by the optic query for constraining results. This will ensure only record ID are returned for new or modified data. I've accepted the default configuration for most other options. Let's go ahead and launch this connector. Hop over to the Topics tab and select Messages within Confluent Platform for the MarkLogic Purchases topic that was selected to have records written to. Here we can see data streaming in. Looking at the data, we see each row has an ID. Other data might use a timestamp to keep track of what's new. Whatever the value is, the user can configure the connector to only read rows that are greater than the column value. Now you can see data is coming out of MarkLogic as expected. To summarize, we started with a DataGen connector that streamed records to a Kafka topic. We then launched a MarkLogic sync connector, which wrote the records from Kafka into a MarkLogic database. Finally, we launched a MarkLogic source connector, which read records back to a new Kafka topic from the MarkLogic database. Integrating MarkLogic with Kafka has never been simpler. The connector provides an efficient way to move data between the two systems, without the need for custom code, and is perfect for organizations to start using right away.